Hey guys, Gavin Seim here, and I just thought we would do a quick look at using Belladonna presets. I actually just did a live stream over here that edited a whole session using Belladonna, and I'll link that below. You can check it out, but I wanted to make a quick start video for those of you that are downloading Belladonna and just want to jump right in and get that great cinematic color editing. And that's what Belladonna 2 is all about, is being able to get those cinematic color grades on any camera file, any look. Cameras produce a huge range of colors and looks, and people have lots of opinions over what's better. But the absolute beauty of Belladonna 2 is we get these rich cinematic looks. Some of them are subtle, some of them are smooth, some of them are intense and rich and contrasty and Hollywood-like. And it's this huge variety that you can just go through and quickly get a lot of complex variations of color and curves and tone to fulfill your visualization without spending hours just tinkering around. So I'm just gonna pop right over into here actually. And I thought I had all the lighting set up, I had all of this, and the live video was like 30 minutes, and it kind of showed Belladonna, but also how I edit the entire session. So let's actually jump right in here. I'm gonna go to the split screen here, and you can see here's all these images that we just edited. We took the favorites from this session and edited like 60, but what if you're just getting started? You've installed Belladonna 2 in Lightroom and Capture One. By the way, if you need help installing, I'm not going to cover that here because we have separate videos on the help page for installing that for Capture One, for Lightroom, for Camera Raw, in Photoshop. Wherever you're installing, there's either text instructions or a video over at seimeffects.com/help. Let's just edit a few images though. I'm going to go in here to Lightroom for this one, but bear in mind that things are going to work pretty much the same whether you are in Lightroom or in Capture One. You're going to have the same presets, and while the interfaces and things are going to be slightly different, in Capture One you're going to be using styles, in Camera Raw you're using presets, but they're going to be in a little bit different location, but the fundamentals here are all the same. You've installed Belladonna 2, you have all these presets here now that you can work with. I'm going to reset this image to 0 just for reference, and so you can see it's a little dark. Always be quick to mix a little bit of manual editing, a little bit of manual control, and presets. To me, that's the best way to edit. Using presets is not about you getting my look, it's about you getting a lot of variables and a lot more control and efficiency over editing your images. I'm going to bump up the exposure on this just a little bit, and then I'm going to go through. You can see at the top of Belladonna we have the Bella's toolbox. A lot of these, like Flat Light Boom, Too Dark Solver, Ugly Light Cleaner, Film Push, these can be really versatile, but they're a little intense because they're kind of meant to be problem solvers. So if you come into an image and you're like, oh, all these are too much, it's probably because your image is actually lit and colored and balanced well. But you might find for wedding receptions and things like that, that these are incredibly useful in other situations as well. But a lot of times I'll go right past the Bella's toolbox. What I will use a lot is these mods. There's not a lot of mods, but the mods in Belladonna allow you to apply a warming, a cooling, a vignette grad, a filmic grain and sharpen mod, a vignette very quickly in batches and individual images without messing up any of the rest of the settings. Like all good presets for the most part, and all Seim presets for the most part, as you come down here into the Bella Classics, this is where we start getting our color looks. And we have the Classics and we have the Cinema. These are kind of the new cinema and film inspired looks, but everything's been redone in Belladonna 2. And so you can see we can just browse over and get all these different looks. The pinholes is kind of cool here, maybe a little bit too intense. But the beauty of Belladonna is there's a lot of stuff that's a bit intense, and there's a lot of stuff that's just really subtle. So we have the Bella's Castle, the Bella's Midnight. These are kind of inspired by 40s and 50s films. And then you'll come down here to things like Midsummer, Lover's Trust, Model Fade, and these are just really good processes that work on a lot of situations. When you apply a preset, like I've applied Midsummer here, it's going to change all these things, curves and channels and all this stuff that would take a long time to do manually. So the 20 variants we just looked at would have taken you hours to manually work with. And that's the beauty of presets. Don't ever let someone tell you, oh, using presets or styles or actions, that's a cop-out for amateurs. No, that's a tool that professionals use because they're not worried about the ego of saying, oh, I didn't use any tools, I did it all manually. We're really doing it manually here, but we're taking tools that allow us to edit more efficiently efficiently, I've been talking a lot today, and have a higher level of nuance and control and get more options than I would otherwise if I did it all manually. So I have midsummer, I've adjusted my exposure a little bit, and frankly, it looks good. I might crop this a little bit up, and I have a nice portrait. Now, as I explained in the longer edit video, which you can go watch after you get started here, I could just copy this. I'm going to Shift Command C in Lightroom, and of course it depends on where you're edited, how you copy and paste. You can also do it with the buttons in the develop module, but I'm going to copy all the fundamental settings, my grain, my vignetting, contrast, clarity, color. I'm going to leave the white balance and the exposure alone. And a lot of times I will. Sometimes I'll copy that, but as you can see, I'm using as shot out of camera exposure. I don't really need to change it. It looks good. I can then come down here and take this whole grouping of images now and just Shift Command V and paste that setting. Now you notice they're going a little green. That's this bug in the latest version of Lightroom where it screws up white balance when you copy and paste. I'm hoping that's going to be fixed soon. It has nothing to do with the presets. Let's actually just change this to any other white balance setting and then return it to as shot, and it'll bring those right back where they need to be. And you can see now that we've applied these looks to all of these images, and they all look great. It's still updating the white balance, but you see, you get the idea. Okay, so that is the basic fundamental. You come in, you browse your looks, you apply them to your image, and then if you're doing something like a portrait setting and you got kind of different sets, different outfit changes, different lighting conditions, you can then paste to move around to different looks, and it works incredibly well. Let's just pop right back in here real quick, and I can see that I've actually already edited this one in our session. I'm going to look again. Let's go ahead and reset this. Any of the category presets, you can see how they say reset. All of those category presets will reset your image to basically its native raw state, and you can see everything's at 0 over here. This can be very useful if you get to a point where you don't like it. You can, of course, reset with Shift Command R or Shift Control R in Lightroom. I believe it's Control R, Command R in Capture One. But the thing is, when I use the reset shortcut in Lightroom or click down here, it's going to reset everything, including the crop. The reset category presets in Seim presets, they allow you to just reset the color grade. And now I can come back through here and just browse and say, well, what look do I want? I can go with something a little bit more gentle. As we go down, you see there's not a lot of complexity. There's not a lot of categories in Belladonna. It's the toolbox. It's simple mods like texture, grain, and a little vignetting. Let's put a vignette on this, even though we haven't edited it yet. And we can come in here and just get all these really great looks. The beauty of Belladonna is it mixes a lot of looks. Some of them might seem a little too intense. Some of them you might run like baby color and say, well, I like it, but it's a little too green. And that's the beauty of it, because it's basically giving you different looks as if you were changing different reels of film in the same set, kind of like we've done in the Filmist collection, but with this, it's wide open. We weren't trying to mimic any particular film. We were just trying to get a lot of different looks. If I apply a preset that I like the look of, but maybe it's shifting a little green or a little red, just like some cameras, Sony, Canon, Nikon, some are more green, some are more red, and people debate about which is better. The reality is all I have to do is go up here and tweak my white balance a little bit. I can put a little more warmth into it. I can adjust the red just a little bit and say, hey, that's good. That's what I want. And then if I like it, I can copy and paste it. I can take something a little bit more vintage and extreme like pinholes here, and it's gonna really kind of make everything feel warm and soft. You can see a lot of these are tweaking a little bit with clarity and texture to keep those skin tones really soft. I'm gonna apply the Filmic Grain mod, and you can see if I zoom in here, let me just undo that real quick. The skin might seem a little bit too smooth here. I'm going to put the Filmic Grain mod in to just really kind of have that filmic look. Now we have really clean skin, really nice and warm. I'm going to turn my white balance back to as shot on this one, but I like it a little bit warmer, so I'm going to warm it up just a little bit and put a little bit more reds in it on the white balance. Like I said, the presets leave the white balance alone so that you can be in control of it. And it looks great. Now, I could use other mods. I could, for example, use the texture mod to make my clarity more intense, more gritty, but most of the time with a portrait, I want a little bit of softness. I could use any of these presets to do more of a mild look like Midsummer or more of an intense look like Pinholes. But the bottom line here is that I'm getting all of these looks very quickly and very efficiently. And I'm getting a lot of color variables. This is the thing. We're not just tweaking with the black point, the white point, and the contrast. We're doing advanced, very powerful edits that let you get to your visualization, but also experiment with these cinematic color grades and what looks best for each. And you can see that pretty much this whole session is edited now. I'll link the whole edit video of this. I just edited all of these on our live stream here on the channel, and you can go watch the whole video if you want. But for now, I think we have great edits on these. That gives you the idea. The bottom line with Belladonna and color in portraits, in weddings, and in everything else, don't overthink it. Think about your visualization. Do you want gritty? Do you want soft? Do you want cinematic? It's okay to fade out certain colors and enhance and make other colors more bold. It's okay to be inspired by film and mix the colors up, because that's exactly what it does. In this day and age with these sensors, and each one produces a little bit different, and we argue and we say this sensor's better, that sensor's better. We have raw files, we have digital, we can make these whatever we want. Just like in the film days, we could put a different film into the camera to get a different color profile, a different skin tone, a different shadow and highlight response. But now we can do it all right here, quick and easy, and we can make as many variables as we want after the shoot, and that's really powerful. Use the tools that we have, and Belladonna 2 is a great tool for that. If you don't have Belladonna, you can head over to seimfx.com/Belladonna, and you can download it over there. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope you enjoyed this short, quick start guide, and I'll link the longer one.